Hi everyone! Today we're going to be making homemade flour tortillas, and I'm going to be showing you step by step how to make these from the start to the finish using only 5 ingredients. These 5 ingredients are common ingredients you'd probably already have in your kitchen, such as all-purpose flour, salt, baking powder, vegetable oil, and water. So let's go ahead and get started. So to start with, we're going to be adding 3 cups of the flour, the all-purpose flour, to your mixing bowl. And to this, we're going to be adding 1 teaspoon of the salt. In this case, I'm using sea salt. That's fine, but whatever you have in your kitchen should work. Just sprinkle it around a little bit. Next, we'll add 1 teaspoon of the baking powder to this mix. And at this point, just go ahead and mix it around just so the baking powder and the salt mix around really well into the flour. Next, we're going to be adding the vegetable oil, about 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil, just directly straight into the same mixing bowl with the other ingredients. And to this, we'll add the final ingredient, which is the warm water, which it doesn't have to be, really too warm or hot, just warm enough that it'll mix everything together really well. One thing I learned about making flour tortillas is you want to keep the dough, or make sure the dough stays nice and warm. It just helps when you're rolling it out later into the tortillas. So you'll notice underneath the bowl I actually have a heating pad that I've warmed up in the microwave, and just for a couple of minutes just to keep the bottom side of the bowl nice and warm. So you'll see I just keep mixing around and around. You don't have to get every last little bit of dough, but just try to get most of the dry ingredients mixed in nice and moist. And I'm just using just a bamboo spoon just to mix it around. A metal spoon or anything else in the shape of a spoon should work just fine. Now that the dough is all nice and mixed together well, I'm just getting a little bit of extra all-purpose flour, and just keep it handy, the bag of flour next to you, or put it in a bowl and just keep it handy. You'll be using it quite a bit to keep your cutting board or whatever surface you're using to knead your dough and to make the tortillas on nice and floured. So, and you can't really see it too well, but in the corner of the cutting board I have a pile of the flour that I'm using well. And every once in a while I'll just reach over and scoop some of it, or pull some over into the middle of the board. So all I'm doing is just flipping the dough kind of up, and spreading it out, flipping it over, and I just keep doing this over and over and over. It takes a few minutes, but you want to make sure that the dough is nice and mixed together, and so the salt, baking powder, everything is just well mixed in there. You don't want any clumps or little bits of pieces in the dough. Just kind of separating. You just want it all to be about the same, uniform consistency. So now you'll see what I'm doing is I'm breaking the dough into 2 separate balls, and then each of those I'm breaking into 2 separate balls. I'm just dividing each of the balls into 2 more parts. And I started with 1 big ball, divided into 2, and then I'll make 4, then 8, then 16. So in the end I'll be able to make 16 tortillas from that 1 big ball of dough. So now you'll just see I'm just counting just to show you that there are in fact 16 little balls of dough. And each of these little balls of dough I'm going to they're just roughly torn apart at this point, and so I'm just placing it into the bowl, which is sitting on that heating pad that is just a neck wrap that I've microwaved for a few minutes. And all I'm just showing you is that I'm going to be covering the bowl with a kitchen towel, just so that it'll keep the nice little balls of dough warm. And we're going to be letting this sit for 15 minutes with the heating pad underneath and the towel on top. What I like to do now that I've made the little balls of dough before I start the timer for 15 minutes is pat each of the little balls of dough into a little like patty, and add little, just set it into the flour and rub it around, so that way the little balls of dough won't stick to each other during the 15-minute waiting period. So you do that real quickly, flatten them out, and then you're going to put them back into the bowl, and then at that point I'll set the timer for 15 minutes. Okay, so now I set the timer for 15 minutes. The 15 minutes passed, and now I'm getting everything ready. I have my rolling pin. I take the towel off, and here are my little balls of dough. I'll take one out, cover the rest so they still stay warm, and I'm going to put a little bit of flour on there from my cutting board, and then I'm going to start rolling it out. It's pretty simple. You just, the goal is to make a circle-shaped tortilla. You'll see I put a little flour on the rolling pin, just so that the dough doesn't stick to the rolling pin. And you're just going to kind of flatten it out in one direction and either spin it around a little bit or flip it over, and you just kind of go in one direction, turn a little bit, and then you're going to roll it the other direction. And there's no real magic to it. It's just a matter of flattening out this little ball of dough into a round shaped tortilla. And once you get it flat, you're going to transfer it now over into a pan. I'm preferring to use a cast iron skillet. If you don't have a cast iron skillet, any pan should work that's set on about medium heat. If you feel that your tortillas are cooking too hot, go ahead and turn it down. If you feel like they're, taking, it takes about 1.5 to 2 minutes to cook the tortilla, so about 1 minute on one side and flip it over 1 minute on the other side. You should start seeing these little bubbles forming while you're cooking it. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to be checking to see if the tortilla is ready to be flipped over. So you'll go ahead and just flip it over a little bit, and if you have sensitive fingers, you're welcome to use like a wooden spatula or a spoon and just check the other side to see if there's little brown spots showing the tortilla is ready. If you want to, go ahead and just use your fingers. It's a little bit faster, but some people choose to use a spatula to flip over the tortilla. Oh, so there's the little brown spots I was talking about. So I went ahead and flipped it over, and it'll be about a minute to a minute and a half until the tortilla will be ready. If you want, set a timer. Otherwise, just mentally just try to keep track about 1 minute. You'll see more bubbles popping up underneath the tortilla, which is a really good sign. If it's taking less than a minute to cook, like 30 seconds, and you're getting a tortilla that's turning it really brown really hard, then you might turn your heat down. If it's taking longer than 2 minutes, then you might turn your heat up a little bit. So let's go ahead and check this, the bottom side of this tortilla, and yep, it's ready to go. It's got the brown spots and the bubbles I like to see. So I went ahead and transferred it over into a storage container. We have plastic ones, or you can just use the good old kitchen towel. Go ahead and stack up the tortillas if you like. Oh, they look delicious, and they absolutely look beautiful. So I hope you like this video. Go ahead and feel free to share it with your friends, and I hope you look forward to future videos. Have a nice day.